Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today. So I want to talk about change. How do you feel about change? Do you feel excited? Uncertain? Does it make you scared? Or are you just going to wait and see what happens? So I want to invite you today to see change as opportunity. So 5G, we've heard everywhere is 5G. Everything, everywhere is going to change. It's going to touch every part of our lives, or so we're told. So what exactly is going to change? So connectivity everywhere all the time, and it's going to be ultra fast. It's going to change the way we drive. It's going to change our cities. It's going to change our entertainment. It's going to make us healthier, safer. But most importantly, it's going to change the way that we work. It's going to change your work life. But how? So the workforce has changed drastically in the last 50 years. First of all, it's doubled. There's more women in the workforce than ever before. Older workers are staying in the workforce longer. The use of contract labor has exploded. And we've got this on-call work culture now. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody's connected all the time. It's not just for doctors anymore to be on call. All of us are working. And machines have replaced humans for years and years and years. But technology has created new jobs. So we've come a long way. Well, I guess most of us have come a long way. There's probably coworkers or bosses that you have that are still stuck in the caveman era. But, what is this future workforce going to look like? What's the future employee going to look like? The future leader? And how do we stay relevant in all of this? So we're going to look first at the evolution of the employee. The past employee, the future employee, and many of you are going to take a look at this and say, well, we already see that the future employee is here now, and that's true. So in the past, workers were thought of as expendable. They came to work at the same time, they wore the same clothes, they reported to the same people, they went to lunch at the same time. They were really not encouraged to ask questions. Basically, it's do what you're told, and that's it. They work like robots. Isn't that interesting? They were knowledge-based workers, and what that means is they came to the job with the skills to do the job. And that was really created by apprenticeships and universities or experience. So what does this new employee look like? There's a lot of buzz around the new generations and what it's going to do to our workforce and how do we work with these people and how do we stay relevant and am I going to have a job when I'm old? So let's look at this. New employee of the future is going to be basically the biggest asset to a company. The employees are going to have a voice like never before. Not just a voice, but these employees are going to shape the future of the company. They're going to be learning workers, very different than knowledge workers. So these employees are going to know how to learn, which is going to be crucial in our future because it's changing so rapidly. So let's talk about change a little bit more. How many of you play chess? Okay, good. So I don't know if you've heard this story, but the legend has it that the inventor of chess took his invention to the Emperor of India. And the emperor was so impressed that he said, "Name your reward." So the inventor said, "Okay, I'm a humble man, sir. All I want is a pile of rice. Take one piece of rice and put it on the first square of the chessboard, then double that. And then take 2 pieces of rice, put it on the second square of the chessboard, and then keep doubling it until all 64 squares are full. I'll take that amount of rice." So the emperor said, "You got it. and instructed his servants to do just that. Soon he realized he'd been tricked, because you see, when you reach the second half of the chessboard, the growth becomes exponential. And that pile of rice is bigger than Mount Everest. We are now in the second half of the chessboard. Change is happening more rapidly than ever before with a deeper impact. To give you an example, it took Facebook 3.5 years to get 50 million customers. It took WhatsApp 15 months. Angry Birds, 15 days. So change is happening rapidly, and we need to know how to prepare. We need to understand. We can't wait and see or stick our head in the sand and wonder. So let's look at, what is this new leader going to look like? And if you're a leader sitting there today, you're going to want to know what skills and who do you need to be in the future to remain relevant. And you're probably going to look at this and say, gosh, these leaders of the past, that sounds like my boss. They're still here. So, leader of the past focuses on hours and input. That manager wants to see someone in their seat in order to be happy. They have access and control of all the information, and then they tell people what to do. They demand respect. Do as I say. I'm your boss. And annual reviews, they're still there now in certain companies, but, and I just want to ask you, so let's say you're the coach of a sports team, and you wait 6 months to tell your player what he or she did wrong or could do better. It's crazy. So this concept of annual reviews, it's going to change dramatically. And the leader of the past is a performance manager. So in that person's mind, they're thinking, how can I get the most out of my employees? The future leader is different. They're going to focus on output and results. You can work anywhere, anytime, any place, just produce the result. That's what I'm managing. They're going to listen to the employees. So instead of getting all of their information from above and passing it to the employees, they're going to get their ideas and information from their employees, because employees have a voice, remember? Their ideas are shaping the company. They're respected. Even if they just graduate from college, they don't have a degree, whatever their situation is, employees are going to be looked to for the ideas of a company, and leaders, smart leaders, are going to know that, and they're going to take advantage of this. They lead by example. No more annual reviews. It's going to be real-time coaching, frequent check-ins. Especially with these new generations, they want to know how they're doing every day, sometimes every hour. It's important. They need to know, how am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? So frequent check-ins are going to be the future for leaders. They're going to manage culture, not performance. They'll manage the mindset of their teams. What can I do to make this person more effective, more engaged? What can I do to create an environment where they're happy? That's going to be the leader of the future. So what is driving this thing called the future of work? One thing for certain that we know is technological change. So millions of jobs are going to be lost due to technology, machines, but millions of jobs are going to be created. It's happened this way for years. In 80 years ago, there were 350,000 telephone operators. Remember those people? Telephone operators. Where did they go? They were retrained, and they got new jobs. Anytime there's technological change, you have new skills. New skills change the workforce. An example of this is cybersecurity. 10 years ago, we didn't even hear much about cybersecurity at all. Now we're hearing about it everywhere, and that skill set is in high demand. Cybersecurity roles Actually, it has a 0% unemployment rate. And something that's on everybody's mind is the robots are coming, right? Robots are going to take our jobs. Machines are going to take over. You know, there's something, it's so interesting, I was reading, there's a condition actually called automation anxiety. I swear, Google it. Automation anxiety is something that people suffer from. And what it is just that fear that machines are going to take over and they're going to take our jobs, and where's that going to leave me? I've actually heard, you know, that many people feel that artificial intelligence is going to be the end of humanity. Like, we're done, it's over, we're no more. I'm sure we don't have to worry about that, but our kids and grandkids do. But the truth is that man and machine, or woman and machine, are going to work together. And it's an opportunity, again, not a problem, not something to be afraid of. And here's why. Because machines are going to do repetitive tasks. I mean, we know this. We know the type of work, the type of tasks they're going to take over. But what that's going to do with humans, you and me, is it's going to free us up to be creative, use our imaginations, use our passion. Sounds like we're going to have a lot more fun at work. So there's an opportunity here with this age of AI that we're going to probably use more of our minds than we've ever used before. So we're definitely looking at AI to be an opportunity, not a challenge. The other thing that's really changing our workforce is we're hearing a lot about this these days as well, is the generations that are entering the workforce. For the first time in history, there's 5 generations in our workforce right now. 20% of people over 65 are still working. And by the year 2025, I read that 75% of the workforce will be millennials. And then there'll be quite a few Generation Zs as well in there. So it's changing our workforce. The people that are coming into the workforce are changing the workforce because there's new attitudes, new ideas of what work should look like. Work-life balance, flexibility. You know, the thoughts of what work should be are very different. And you've got the baby boomers fighting all of it. Those darn millennials. What are they thinking, right? But instead of complaining and looking at it as a problem, let's look at it as an opportunity. Because these are the people that are going to innovate, that are going to change our world exponentially. Let me go back to diversity. So companies are very focused on diversity, and they have been for quite some time. And this is exciting because diversity creates innovation. Diversity also creates conflict because there's many different types of people working together on a team. But the good news is conflict also creates innovation. So there's so many opportunities here for innovation and change in our workforce. Now, what do we have to do? What we need to do is get along with everyone and understand that all of these different types of people in the workforce, even if they don't agree with us and they work differently than we did, that they play a vital part in the growth of our companies and our future. How are universities preparing these students? You know, kids don't see college the way they used to, the younger kids. Why do I need to get into debt? Why do I need a college degree? Apple, Google, and Netflix, they don't even require college degrees anymore. So universities are getting a little nervous, and they're saying we need to change. So one of the ways that they're changing is they're going to focus on lifelong learning for students. They're going to teach students how to learn because the world is changing so rapidly. There's some universities are even looking at school being not a 4-year experience, but one where you go to school for a year, then you may work for 2 years and go to school for another year and work a little bit. But the key here is lifelong learning. It is no longer going to be the case where you go to school for 4 years and then you work the rest of your life. No matter where you are in this room, you've got to learn. That's going to keep you relevant. It's all about where you're going next. What can you learn next? You have to be a lifelong learner. So what does this mean to you? Sitting in your chair right now. How is this going to affect you? What do you need? What skills do you need to stay relevant? The number one skill you're going to need is agility. Again, a term that we hear so much about these days. Why? Because the world is changing at such a rapid pace that we have to be nimble, we have to be resilient, we have to have grit, we have to be able to adapt to change. So people who are afraid of change and see change as a threat, you're not going to make it in the next 10, 20 years because that's all you're going to see is change. So reframe it and see it differently, even if it's something that affects you personally, a layoff, something that could affect you and your family. See it as an opportunity. Learn to deal with change. Again, active learning is a skill that you have to develop. Every single one of you should be learning something right now, and don't depend on your company to do it, because you are going to be, in order to stay relevant, you are going to be learning over the next 10 to 20 years. Technical skills. In telecom, technology field, hopefully we all have technical skills, but there are people in tech and telecom who don't have technical skills. I can't even say it. It's important that you get them because this is the future. We have clients who come to us and say, okay, I'm looking for a director of business development. They don't need to be an engineer, but they have to understand technology. We hear a lot of that these days. Emotional intelligence is going to be a very important skill. Understanding the emotions of yourself and others. Leadership. In the future, everyone's going to be a leader. Everyone. Without being a manager. Why? Because remember, everyone has a voice. Everyone shares ideas. Everybody is important in the future. So brush up on your leadership skills. If you're not a leader, learn how to be a leader. Most importantly, again, embracing change. Crucial that you embrace change. So really, the bottom line is you need to be the designer of your own career. There's no corporate ladder anymore. It's almost like a corporate lattice now, where you can go sideways, diagonal. You may go into a completely different role that you know nothing about. Again, it's learning. Be open to that, because a corporate lattice is the new way of learning. Companies must adapt and change in order to keep up and to be relevant and attract and retain and engage their employees. In 2022, 54% of the entire workforce in America will have to be reskilled and upskilled. So what that means for companies is training is going to be imperative. And the problem is that over 42% of companies in America right now don't have a training program. So companies need to place training at a very high priority as we move into the future. There's going to be less of a hierarchy, org chart type of experience in a company. It's going to be more project-based teams. You're going to see a lot of reorganization going on. You're going to see a lot of middle management and high-paid people that are not going to be in those roles anymore. It's going to be project-based teams with leaders. So you're going to see this happening. In fact, just in the past 60 days or so, 90 days, we have seen quite an influx of higher level candidates into the marketplace because of this dynamic. And it's going to continue to happen. So if you're one of those people, again, learning, growing, what else can you do? What else can you learn? How can you make yourself more marketable? Right now, if you're in that state where you're someone who is a product of a layoff, a reorg, just hold on a bit. Hold on a bit. 60, 90 days, there's going to be more opportunities. Flexibility is crucial for future generations. They want to have flexible schedules. They want work-life balance. So working remote is going to be the future. WordPress is a $1 billion company. 100% of their employees work remote. Companies are scared of this. They want somebody sitting in the seat where they can see them. The problem is that reduces the candidate pool. And we have such a talent shortage right now in telecom, especially from tech roles and construction roles. So companies need to be open when they can to remote. It's going to become the future. And employees of the future money is not the major motivator for these people. It's not just a paycheck. They want purpose, they want mission, they want to know they're making a difference. They get restless if they're not. Training and development, I can't say it enough. That is where companies have got to focus in order to attract and retain and engage workers in the future. It's key. We hear it all the time. I'm leaving because I can't grow here. There's no training, there's no development, no growth. That's the number one reason why people leave their jobs, is for growth. So as a company, companies absolutely have to provide opportunities for growth and development for these people, as well as giving them a voice. Welcome to the human era of work. That's what we're entering, where people are at the center of everything. Strategy is important, finance is important, bottom line is very important. But guess what produces all of this? Guess what's at the source of all of it? You are, people. Companies have realized this, how important that we are. I learned the value of people at a very young age. Unfortunately, it was through loss. I've lost just about every member of my family. My mother, my father, both my sisters, all grandparents, my stepfather, and that was all before age 33. And then my 11-year-old son was diagnosed with cancer, a battle we won, thank God. But through all of this, I learned without a shadow of a doubt that the most important thing in life and in business is people. See, technology is not the focal point of the future. Humans are. And the opportunity here is the opportunity for us to become more connected. So if you want to be successful in this new future of work, you only have to remember one thing, just one thing, that everyone has an invisible sign around their neck saying, "Make me feel important." Thank you.